In this video, I want to share with you how you can heal your emotional baggage and your pain and your self-worth issues as a man, with a story on how I did it in hopes of helping you to see some things differently and expose yourself to different ideas and create some possibility and potential around this so that you can create what it is that you want to create in your business, in your own personal life, and with your family. Okay, so here's the story. I lost custody of my children for 2 years due to heroin addiction and due to codependency, due to a lack of leadership. There was so much chaos, and it was a mess. It was a mess, right? And I lost custody of them for at least 2 years. My wife and I, their mother, we were in a Nissan Sentra. We were homeless. The pandemic had hit. The world had shut down, and we were trying to get them back. And the judge made it very, very clear. Go to parenting classes, go to therapy, do everything that your social worker says to do. Make sure that you get a home, make sure that you get your shit together, and then we can have a conversation about you maybe having your kids back. Okay? And so I had the plan. It was mapped out right there, step by step. Here's what you do. Okay? And I didn't have to be homeless for 2 years. We didn't have to be homeless and struggling to get custody of our kids for 2 years, but we did. All right. And I'll tell you on my end and from my perspective why that happened. Now, it could have probably taken 1 year had I just simply followed the instructions, had I simply just done what needed to be done, but I didn't. And I didn't know why. Why was I not doing the very, very simple steps that I needed to do in order to get my kids back? Well, okay, what's wrong with me? Is it, do I not want them back anymore? Do I not even love my kids? Do I love my family? Do I want it? What's going on? What is wrong with me? Right? Is what I would say. I'm doing everything like and I would convince myself, I would delude myself into believing that I was doing everything possible to get my kids back. In fact, I would even get socially rewarded for it. Right? People would acknowledge me. Oh, wow, he's doing everything to get his life back together. He's so resilient. He's so strong. He's just so, right? And so I would be validated in my efforts publicly, but deep down I knew that if I really wanted to, then I would do I would get them back in a weekend. I would just put my nose to the grindstone and do everything in my power to make it happen. And I didn't do that for years. No matter how tough those visits to my parents, who were my kids' foster parents, was, no matter how many times they begged me, they just want to come home, or how much guilt I felt, no matter how much I beat myself up, I couldn't force myself to do what needed to be done and to create the result that I knew that I wanted. I knew that I wanted my kids back. I knew that I wanted my life and my family back. That is something that I did know deep down inside. But I also knew something else. At least I believed something else. I believed that I didn't, look at me, that I didn't deserve them back. Okay? I believed that I didn't deserve my kids back. And so now we have what is known as cognitive dissonance. We had two opposing beliefs, right? Perspectives, very, very powerful ones, and they would clash. Okay, and I would have that in here, and I would have that in here. I wanted my kids back more than anything in the whole wide world. I just want my babies back. And I'm a piece of shit. I'm the worst thing that ever happened. I lost my kids. I created so much chaos and conflict and confrontation and pain. And I don't believe that I deserve them back. Because I believed that I didn't deserve them back, I dragged my feet. Unconscious programming. I had this little, we'll just call it that. I had this little program playing in the back of my head, in my subconscious mind, deep within my psyche, that I didn't deserve the thing that I wanted. So while externally, while consciously, I would go and I would speak and I'd share, I just want my kids back. I'm fighting for them. I'm doing the things. I'm being a good father. Right? Inside, back here, not in this sore shoulder, because it was, shoulders and abs day yesterday. But back in the back of my mind, I didn't believe that I deserved them. And so my unconscious would take over when it was crunch time, when it was time to go to therapy. What did that look like? It looked like me canceling a therapy appointment because it was too much money, and we didn't have enough, and we needed to make sure that we had enough gas station food, or the parenting classes, right? I would just I'd forget what day it was, even though it was right there on the schedule. Or I would convince my wife that we could go tomorrow, or we could just go next week, and I would find all of these different ways to delude myself and convince myself that there was more time somewhere else, that there'll be plenty of opportunity later. And so I kept pushing it off and procrastinating. All right, I kept procrastinating. Let me know if this resonates. I kept procrastinating, and I kept dragging my feet to make this happen. Why? I really wanted my kids, but I believed that I didn't deserve them. So thank God that I had very, very wise people in my corner reflect back to me, right, my behaviors, how I was really showing up. They were revealing my blind spots to me. They were challenging me to get to the core of this behavior, of this way of being, to the point where finally they just created space for me. This is why it's so important to have coaches, therapists, counselors, any sort of counsel, right? Wise counsel around you to challenge you. I needed to be challenged because I had this cognitive dissonance, and I grew comfortable in this. I grew comfortable in this pain of, why is this all happening to me? I was comfortable in my victim mindset, okay? This victimhood of woe is me. And why can't I get it right? And it became a habit. It became a habit to beat the crap out of myself, right? And so ultimately what happened was someone took a stand for me, and they challenged the hell out of me. And they're like, I don't really think you want your kids back. What do you mean? If I'm looking at your behavior, I'm looking at how you're showing up, if I'm looking at the fact that this has taken 1.5 years longer than it really needed to, it doesn't seem like what you say you want is the real thing that you want. Why? And this was a safe person who wasn't judging me, right? So I sat with that question, and I just started to cry. I started to address that I hated myself so much. I hated myself so much. And I didn't feel that I deserved them back. And so I kept dragging my feet. And I was in that pain. I was in that self-judgment. You piece of crap, bad father. You've traumatized them. You've hurt everybody. So the conclusion that I drew based off of the situation that happened in my past is that I didn't deserve it. And in order to move forward, I needed to explore dropping that thought, dropping that judgment. So I began to ask myself even more difficult questions. Plato said, in the quality of life, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of questions that you ask yourself. So here's the question: who are you without the thought, I don't deserve my kids back? What? Who am I? Well, good question. Who am I? Who am I capable of being? What actions would I take if I did believe that I deserved to have my kids back? I probably wouldn't miss a single therapy appointment. I probably would get that letter of recommendation as soon as humanly possible. I would stay up later than I needed to. I would wake up earlier. I would ensure that I did those things, and I'd have them back. I once heard a really wise man say, you know how a man intended for something to happen? We all said, why? He said, because it happened. That's how you know that a man intended for something to happen, because it happened. And so this process of forgiving myself, right, in the University of Santa Monica, I believe they call it compassionate self-forgiveness. I forgive myself for judging myself as I don't deserve my kids back. Just that. That alone. I forgive myself for judging myself as I don't deserve my kids back. And I kept saying it, and I kept feeling into it. Again, language is so powerful. I started to speak that out and start to tell my subconscious mind a different story. The story that I am clean. If we want to add a religious perspective to this, by the grace of God, I am forgiven. I am whole. I am complete. I am healed. Healing just means to bring something back to wholeness, because healing is the separation, right? Is the wound, the tear, okay. It's not a part of the whole anymore. Healing is to bring it back here. That's what I'm passionate about, helping, because I had experienced it myself. When I healed, when I spoke forgiveness and life into myself, I forgive myself for judging myself as I don't deserve my kids back. And I practiced that radical, compassionate self-forgiveness. I began to change the way that I thought about the actions that I was taking, change the way that I thought about myself, how I saw myself, change the way that I saw the situation. I stopped seeing it as something that was happening to me. I stopped seeing myself as a victim of these circumstances, and I started to see this as a blessing from God. And I started to see this as an opportunity for me to double down, bet on myself, man up, and do the hard shit that is required to get what I want in this life. That is what happened. Guess what? Within 3 months, I get an apartment. I get a car, a new car, and I get my babies back. But I had to go deep within myself. I had to explore the wild west of my inner world. And I had to search my heart for what I had convinced myself was true. I had to search deep within the caverns of my subconscious mind and go, why do I not believe? Why do I believe I don't deserve them? Why am I thinking like this? What are my judgments of myself? Why am I so hard on myself? On myself. I had to go deep within. If you don't go within, you go without. That is why it is so important to identify, okay, got it. Here's this thought. Here's this thought. I don't deserve my kids back. I'm bad. I'm wrong. I'm this. I'm that. Here's the thought I have of myself, my judgments of myself. Forgiveness wipes it clean. Dropping the thought, I don't have to be who I think I am. I don't have to be what I think I am. I am capable. Human beings are imbued with infinite potential. Literally, one of my affirmations is, I am infinite potential, made in the image and likeness of God, created to be all I can be. And guess what? All that I can be is someone who deserves their kids back, who deserves whatever it is that he wants. I get to create myself as someone who can and will create what he wants in this life. That's my invitation to you, brother. My invitation to you is to challenge your thoughts of yourself. Challenge your most limiting, negative, judgmental beliefs about you. Why do they have to be true? What if they didn't? What is the inverse of those thoughts and judgments and those beliefs about yourself? Why do you have to just take the first thought that comes to you and just be like, oh, this must be true? No, it doesn't. It isn't. It doesn't have to be. You can let it go. You can let it go. And you can be free of that. And you can be who you want to be. What you want to be. You can create it. But it all starts with identifying it. Oh, okay. That's how I really feel about the situation in myself right now. This is what I'm really thinking. Wow, that's fucked up. Now what do I want to do about it? I can take action. I can challenge these things. I can let them go and be free. That's my invitation. That is how I dropped that worth wound, that judgment that I didn't deserve it. That's how I got my babies back. So my invitation to you, my question for you is, what do you feel you don't deserve? Money? More money? Do you feel like you don't deserve to slow down? To stop and smell the roses because of things that happened in your past? Well, guess what? Those are judgments and conclusions that your brain has drawn from past experience. And you've taken it on to be true when it doesn't have to be. Challenge whatever thoughts you have about you deserving or not deserving what you want. You deserve it.